It's been quite a while since we've had our hands on a special edition laptop. Well, that all changes today. This is the Porsche Design Acer Book RS, and honestly, I'm liking it way more than I thought I would. If you're into cars, or perhaps you might not even need to be into cars, I would say that you've definitely heard of Porsche. They make high-performance sports cars, SUVs and more, with their most iconic being the 911. Porsche has a subsidiary called Porsche Design, and it is under this brand where they do stuff outside of cars like clothes, watches and electronics. Here we have their latest laptop, which was done in collaboration with Acer, the Porsche Design Acer Book RS. Now before we jump right into it, I do want to share a little bit of a backstory. Because you see, I actually first got my hands on the Book RS way back in January, and it was a pre-production sample. So I actually did all my tests, my benchmarks, and I got all my results except for one. Because it was a pre-production sample, it was actually missing the microphone drivers, so I couldn't really kind of review the webcam per se. So I was liaising with Acer to try and sort the issue out, and at the end we decided to do a BIOS update, which was, I guess, the start of downhill, I guess. The BIOS update actually said successfully updated, but right after that, the laptop just wouldn't boot up anymore. So I guess it was a soft break, no matter how that happened, but I basically had to send the laptop back to Acer and have to wait for them to actually send me a retail unit. So the unit that I have right here today is actually a production unit, a full retail unit. But here's the catch. Even though I had to wait for quite a bit, there's a bit of an upside to this story because the pre-production sample that I received back in January was running the base configuration of the Intel Core i5 and the 8GB of RAM. This unit that I have here right behind me today is the high-spec model, or rather the top of the line model. It comes with the Intel Core i7, 16GB of RAM and the MX350 graphics. So, in that sense, I guess there's ups and downs to this story. I managed to get both the results and benchmarks for both the Core i5 and this model, the Core i7. In essence, I can now give you a more comprehensive review of the Book RS, and so with that said, let's start with performance. For the Book RS, both the Core i5 1135G7 and the Core i7 1165G7 are running the full 28W version of the Tiger Lake chip. The Core i5 was able to score near 2000 on the multi-thread and nearing 500 on the single thread, while the Core i7 was able to surpass slightly above 2000 on the multi-thread while being quite a lot faster on the single thread with a score of 575. As for DaVinci Resolve, both chips also performed with surprisingly great results. The Core i5 managed to render the 1080p project in about 32 minutes and the 4K project in about 56 minutes. As for the Core i7 and MX350 combo, it managed to render the 1080p project in about 30 minutes and the 4K project in just about an hour. As for gaming, you can expect an entry-level 1080p gaming experience with just the integrated GPU on the Core i5. We do keep our testing to a minimum of 1080p, so the numbers might not be that awe-inspiring. But if you're willing to drop some settings, and especially the resolution down to 900p or 720p, do expect much better frame rates. Gaming on the Core i7 model, on the other hand, is slightly better, mainly because it comes with the GeForce MX350 discrete GPU. However, the MX350 in the Porsche Design is actually underclocked quite a fair bit. The standard clock speed for MX350 is usually around 1.3 GHz. The one in the Book RS is only clocked at 747 MHz. Thus, the frame rates aren't drastically different as it's supposed to be, but having that discrete MX350 did entirely eliminate the occasional frame freeze and drops in games like CSGO, so overall, it is still a much better gaming experience. Despite that, the Book RS has pretty decent thermals, as be it creative or gaming, the chip mostly hovered in the mid-70s for both the Core i5 and Core i7, and in both cases, the fans weren't too loud either. So you now know the performance and thermals of the Book RS, and honestly, it's not that bad at all. But performance is but just one part of the equation. Other things matter as well, especially for the full user experience on a laptop, such as the display, the design, the keyboard and trackpad, so on and so forth. So you might ask, how was it? Well, in a sentence, it's Porsche Design. The overall design of the laptop is really minimalistic, yet also quite unique. The chassis is made out of magnesium and carbon fiber stretches across the entire lid, save for a small strip at the top which is reserved for the Porsche Design text. It also features a robust and pretty interesting hinge design, which is unibody in nature and props up the laptop quite a bit on a flat surface. It's also quite light, coming in at around 1.2 kilograms. 14-inch is quite the sweet spot for most people out there, and so that's what you get here. It's an IPS panel with a full HD resolution, covers 100% sRGB, and can get up to about 340 nits in brightness. Additional features include Corning Gorilla Glass and touch functionality. To note, you'll find the exact same display on the Core i7 model and the Core i5 model. It is a great panel that you'll definitely be happy with, be it watching videos on YouTube, simple browsing of the web, light creative work, and even gaming. So you're now looking at the webcam footage from the Acer Book RS, and it's honestly not that bad. It's a 720p webcam, so the image quality is as you would expect from 720p, and it's pretty much like any other webcam from any other laptop nowadays. Basically, it's not the best, but not the worst, but if you just need a webcam, it's there and it works. The keyboard on the other hand was good. If you're familiar with any of the other Acer laptops, it is pretty much the same keyboard, so you'll feel right at home with this. The same goes for Trackpad. It's smooth, works as it should, and is of a decent size. It does also feature a built-in fingerprint reader on the top left corner, which can be used for Windows login authentication. Speakers are located on the sides and are down-firing. It does sound a little thin and won't get all that loud, but for personal media consumption, it should perform adequately. As for ports, you do get two standard USB 3.2 ports on either side, your 3.5mm combo jack, full-size HDMI, as well as Type-C Thunderbolt 4. You can expect roughly 8.5 hours of usage with this laptop with that 56Wh battery as long as you keep to light tasks. One nice touch is that the laptop does come with two adapters, one for the standard barrel plug and the other being USB-C. But we now come to price, and this is where things get a little interesting and a little puzzling. Here in Singapore, the Book RS with the Intel Core i7 configuration will set you back a whopping 4,500 Singapore dollars on the Acer store. That's asking a lot, especially for an ultra portable laptop. But if you're in the US, or heck, if you were to just go to the US Acer store, the exact same laptop with the same Intel Core i7 and an MX350 graphics will only set you back $1,700 US. Essentially, half the price of the local pricing here in Singapore. The pricing here in Singapore makes 0 cents. I've emailed Acer, asked them about it, but well, they didn't reply. So in any case, let's just put aside the Singapore pricing, pretend that doesn't exist. Let's only look at the US pricing. Honestly speaking, for that price, it really isn't that expensive, especially considering the fact that it's Porsche Design. To top it off, it has the performance to match. You are getting the full 28W version of the Tiger Lake chips, which are properly cooled. You get a good 1080p IPS display with touch, you get a good keyboard and trackpad, good amount of ports, and all of that is in a really well designed and refined chassis. Not to mention that the unboxing experience was rather great. It's a laptop that looks good and performs great, and it's only asking for a slight premium over its competition. I do wish that they clocked the MX350 a little higher since there is thermal headroom, but that's a topic for another day. So, if you are someone interested in Porsche Design, or you just want a really classy laptop that also performs great, take a look at this. I don't think you'll be disappointed. In any case, that's it for the Porsche Design Acer Book RS. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comment section down below, and if there are affiliate links in the description, do check them out. And if you do, thanks for the support. Don't forget to subscribe to us, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Till the next one, see ya!